is among a list of rappers potentially appearing as witnesses in the trial of South Florida rapper XXX.
The temperature in the hip-hop world hasn't just risen. It's erupted into a full-blown inferno. What started as lyrical sparring, a competitive dance of bars between Drake and Kendrick Lamar, has now spiraled into something far more sinister. This is no longer just a rap battle. It's a clash of egos, empires, and maybe even street alliances. At first, it looked like another round of diss tracks, fiery lyrics, clever punchlines, thinly veiled shots. But behind the bars lies something darker, something pulsing just beneath the surface. The animosity is bleeding out of the studio and into real life. Courtrooms, street corners, and heavily secured estates, those are the new arenas. It's no longer just he said, he rapped. This beef is morphing into a territorial war, a power play. And if the latest rumors and reports are true, it might have already turned violent. We're talking about moves being made not for chart dominance, but for psychological control, reputational destruction, and maybe even physical retaliation. This ain't just about records. This is about legacy, loyalty, and how far someone will go when their empire is threatened. And make no mistake, both Kendrick and Drake believe they are kings, but there's only room for one throne.
That track, have it listened to and have the world kind of respond, is something that has not necessarily been the case in hip-hop.
When Kendrick Lamar set foot on that Toronto stage, it wasn't just a performance. It was a declaration of war. He didn't just stroll into Drake City, he stormed it. Kendrick walked into Drake's domain, his turf, his sanctuary, his fortress, and delivered a message the entire world heard loud and clear. He performed not like us, not once, not twice, but 5 times in a row, like it was some kind of ritualistic takedown. That wasn't just a diss track. That was psychological warfare on a whole new level. Kendrick didn't come to play. He came to conquer. And the crowd, they weren't just vibing, they were witnessing a moment. That track, already blaring at NBA arenas and sneaking its way into party playlists across the globe, doesn't just take shots at Drake's image, it rips apart the very foundation of his legacy. It calls him a predator, a manipulator, a man whose empire, Kendrick suggests, may be built on manipulation, secrecy, and worse. And here's the kicker. Kendrick didn't flinch, not once, no hesitation, no apology. He did it in Drake City, in front of Drake's people, under the glowing shadow of the CN Tower like it was a cinematic villain reveal. This wasn't just a flex, it was an invasion. Fans left calling it a full-scale assault, not a concert. The energy that night? Electric, but tense. Security wasn't just tight, it was suffocating. There were whispers that certain gang-connected figures were present, and not the kind you find in the green room with bottles and vibes. These were LA faces, familiar to those who know the streets, not the charts. Backstage wasn't just bustling, it was buzzing with tension. Some say they spotted people with reputations far beyond music, not artists, not producers, street royalty. Kendrick didn't just perform, he made a statement. I'm not scared, I'm coming for the crown, and I'll do it in your house. If Toronto is the castle, Not Like Us was the battering ram. And Kendrick, he's not just knocking on the gates, he's already inside.
They're really poets. They're really two people who have the ability to see, listen, and then spit back.
Drake wasted no time. He clapped back with precision. But this time, it wasn't just with bars. It was layered, cryptic, and icy to the core. His surprise drop, "What did I miss?" didn't feel like a comeback. It felt like a man unraveling while holding a loaded pen. Every line oozed bitterness. And the scariest part? He wasn't just responding to Kendrick. He was airing out his own camp. Downfall to a traitor. Love for my brothers, but it didn't feel like love. It felt like a warning. Drake's paranoia was seeping into the music and fans could feel it. People he trusted, longtime collaborators, were seeing the Kendrick show in LA. Some producers reportedly working both sides, and old friends quietly backing away from the storm. The betrayal wasn't artistic, it was personal, and Drake's not hiding it anymore. But the bars were just the beginning. What really shook fans to the core was the live stream. No flashy graphics, no album art, just a broadcast under the label Iceman Episode 1. The The screen flickered. Drake appeared isolated in a cold, sterile freezer. Rifles lined the background like museum pieces. A dusty old TV hummed beside him, playing static. It felt less like an album rollout and more like surveillance footage. The cuts were deliberate, uneasy. First, a dimly lit warehouse, the kind where silence screams and nothing good happens. Then a truck, Drake behind the wheel, driving through Toronto's empty streets like a ghost. A number painted across the door, no explanation. A digital URL flickered across the screen. Fans scrambled to follow it, but it led nowhere. Nothing, just a digital dead end. People didn't see it as art. They saw it as a message. A threat, a warning, a breakdown, and then, like a plot twist straight out of a movie, hours later, reports started flooding in. A shooting outside Drake's mansion, sirens, headlines, police tape. Coincidence? Maybe. But when the lines between music and menace blur this hard, nothing feels like just a coincidence anymore.
Shooting has certainly turned a spotlight on that feud. The two rappers have been engaged in a lyrical battle in recent weeks, and that heated up this past week.
No one was harmed in the reported shooting outside Drake's mansion. But let's not get it twisted. The message, loud and crystal clear. This wasn't some random drive-by. The timing was too precise. The location, too intimate. And the atmosphere, already on edge from Kendrick's savage Toronto takeover and Drake's bone-chilling Iceman live stream. It all feels like pieces of a puzzle falling into place, and that puzzle is starting to resemble a battlefield. Drake's home, once a symbol of untouchable luxury and power, now feels more like a bunker. Word on the street is that security has been amped up, not doubled, but possibly tripled. And we're not talking about a few extra cameras and a bodyguard with an earpiece. We're hearing about private, military-style patrols, armored vehicles, tactical surveillance drones, the kind of security you'd expect for a world leader, not a rapper. But maybe that's exactly the point. Because from what insiders are whispering, Drake might know something the public doesn't. Something serious, something dangerous. And then there's the growing buzz about a mysterious force lurking behind the scenes. Something fans and online sleuths have started calling the Iceman Syndicate. At first glance, it sounds like a conspiracy theory, fan fiction fueled by paranoia. But dig a little deeper, and things get weird. Industry insiders are pointing to some new faces in Drake's camp. Names you won't find on Spotify credits or award show stages. These are people with backgrounds in private security firms, tactical training, even former law enforcement and military intelligence. One former tour manager allegedly leaked that there's now a classified operations division inside Drake's inner circle. Their job? Not press, not promo, but threat assessment. Monitoring moves, gathering intel, and yes, supposedly keeping close tabs on Kendrick's team too. Nothing's been confirmed publicly, of course, but the vibe around Drake's operation is shifting. The warmth is gone. The language is colder, more clinical. People aren't talking about rap feuds anymore. They're using words like containment, strategy, and defense. Drake's no longer just defending his reputation, he's fortifying his entire world.
Beef that I didn't think would ever remotely get violent. No, I didn't either. So now y'all from backpack and then stuff. That's OB.
But Kendrick isn't walking into this firestorm unarmed. Far from it. While Drake's stacking up defense, Kendrick is building a case, not just with bars, but with receipts. And these aren't just your average diss track jabs. We're talking about a meticulously compiled dossier, according to sources close to TDE. Alleged settlement payments, sealed court documents, shady social media trails, deep dive financial connections between Drake's circle and individuals with criminal pasts. Kendrick, it seems, is playing chess, not checkers. One particularly explosive piece of that puzzle? A 2017 incident involving a woman named Lana Morris. She accused Drake of serious misconduct during his UK tour, a case that never saw a courtroom. Why? Because Drake's team allegedly shut it down with a $350,000 hush money payout and an ironclad NDA. The public never got wind of it, until now. But Kendrick? He might have the documents that never made it to TMZ. Screenshots, emails, legal leaks, and that's just one story. Another thread Kendrick is allegedly pulling at involves Baka Not Nice, a rapper signed to OVO with a troubling past linked to trafficking allegations. Kendrick's not just making noise, he's building a timeline, a profile. He wants the world to question what kind of empire Drake has really built and at what cost. And let's not forget the bombshell Kendrick dropped in Meet the Grams, the hidden daughter claim. He didn't just float a rumor, he gave her name, her age, 11 years old. Fans brushed it off at first, chalking it up to dramatic effect, but now the whispers are growing. Some insiders believe that someone from Drake's own camp might have leaked the info, thinking it would never make the light of day. And Kendrick, he's sitting on all of it, like a silent bomb, waiting. If he drops even a fraction of what he's supposedly holding, the backlash could be nuclear. We're talking not just canceled tours, but complete career implosion. The only real question is he bluffing? Or he just biding his time for the final blow?
The accusations. And it's not like they're really trying to hold each other accountable. They're just throwing these types of accusations around to attempt to ruin the image of the other. And that's whack to me.
But let's be clear. This isn't a one-sided assault. Drake isn't just dodging accusations. He's launching grenades of his own. And he's not shy about it. In his scathing track, Family Matters, Drake didn't hold back. He painted a deeply disturbing picture of alleged domestic chaos inside Kendrick's household, centering on his longtime partner, Whitney Alford. People were stunned, not just by the audacity, but by the specificity. Drake referenced alleged therapy teams, emergency PR sessions, and whispered rumors that Kendrick's relationship wasn't as picture-perfect as his conscious rapper persona might suggest. It was brutal, and for many, that crossed the line. But for Drake, that was exactly the point. And then came The Heart Part 6, a lyrical curveball. In the middle of denying Kendrick's claims, Drake made a stunning confession. He fed Kendrick false information. He called it a trap, a decoy, a calculated ambush. We plotted for a week. We fed you the information. Was it true? Was it a bluff? If it's real, it's genius. But if it's not, it reeks of desperation. Still, in this war of perception, even doubt is a weapon. And right now, fans are taking sides like it's political warfare. Every bar is a headline. Every live stream is a chess move. Every leak, another bullet in this cultural shootout. But this isn't just about music anymore. It's about credibility, reputation, and power. Kendrick turned a club banger into a battle cry, and Drake responded with surveillance, psychological games, and venom-laced verses. And here's the dark truth. It doesn't look like either one of them wants a truce. The music, that was just the opening shot. Now we're dealing with real-world consequences, territory, silence, legal threats, and shadows creeping just outside the spotlight.
I think this was great. The only thing that I don't like is, and this is what we're here to talk about this morning, I don't like seeing these brothers Me Tooing each other over.
Even with everything already out in the open. The alleged secret daughter, the eerie live stream, the accusations flying like shrapnel in back-to-back diss tracks. There's still one card Kendrick Lamar hasn't played. And according to insiders, it might be the card that doesn't just flip the table, it burns it down. The whispers are no longer just background noise. They're becoming deafening. Sources close to Kendrick say he's sitting on proof, real, documented proof that Drake's pen, the very foundation of his legendary status, the one that's written some of the biggest hits of the last decade, wasn't even his. Let that sink in. We're talking about alleged contracts, DM exchanges, even reference tracks, vocal demos quietly passed around among industry insiders in Los Angeles and Atlanta, private circles, secret studios, NDA-covered sessions no one was ever supposed to talk about. Now, names are starting to leak. Some of them ring a bell, obscure co-writers, forgotten session vocalists who never saw a royalty check.
One source claims an engineer once received a cash-stuffed envelope along with a gag order NDA after recording verses for someone else, verses that later appeared under Drake's name. And it doesn't stop there. A former tour coordinator reportedly spilled that Kendrick's team has been building this case for months, long before Not Like Us even dropped. If that's true, then all these diss tracks, the performances, the theatrics, they were just smoke grenades, tactical distractions while the real battle raged silently in the background. And here's the part that has the industry on edge. Kendrick may be preparing to expose publishing splits, financial documents that show Drake knowingly taking credit and profits for bars he didn't write. If that goes public, it's not just about beef anymore. It's about fraud. It's about reputation, credibility, and the core currency of hip-hop, authenticity. Because in a culture that prides itself on realness, on storytelling from the soul, ghostwriting isn't just a scandal, it's a death sentence. And if Kendrick drops that so-called black box of evidence, we're not talking about lyrical victory. We're talking about career collapse on a nuclear scale.
Feud between rap artist Drake and Kendrick Lamar is once again heating up after the release of diss tracks back, and we really mean back.
Meanwhile, the city of Toronto still hadn't caught his breath from the emotional earthquake Kendrick left behind. His Scotiabank Arena takeover didn't just shake the venue, it split the entire city in half. Right down Yonge Street, the tension is real. Some fans saw it as a bold artistic flex, Kendrick coming into enemy territory and planting his flag. Others, especially those raised on Drake's come-up story, who watched him evolve from Degrassi to global superstardom, they saw it as a violation, a calculated disrespect that went too far. Radio stations were lit up the next morning. One Toronto DJ said on air, this wasn't just a concert, it was a declaration, a warning, a challenge. Community forums flooded with arguments about loyalty, legacy, and pride. And the division, it's not just digital, it's physical, it's emotional. One well-known Toronto influencer posted, "This ain't rap beef no more, it's cultural warfare." Another tweet, which was quickly deleted, alleged that several popular clubs and venues in the city are now blacklisting DJs who play Not Like Us. The rumor hasn't been officially confirmed, but one local promoter told us, flat out, "We not spinning that record right now. It's too hot, too risky." And that's the scariest part. The fear is real. It's not just fans who are feeling the heat. Industry executives behind the scenes are reportedly getting nervous, not because of chart fatigue or brand alignment, but because this feud is drifting into dangerous waters. This ain't Meek Mill versus Drake. This is something bigger, deeper, and sharper. One insider revealed that a major music mogul personally reached out to both camps, warning them that what started as a lyrical war has spilled into the streets. There's now talk of copycats, retaliation, and real-world security risks. One A&R from a top label called it the Meek Mill situation on steroids. But here's the difference. Back then, it was about clout and timing. Now, the streets are watching, and too many people, fans, haters, affiliates, wanna-be gangsters, wanna be part of.
Wow, Drake, thank you.
It's pretty nice, right? Yeah.
So I had to, of course, I wasn't going to let that go.
Even as fans devour every diss like it's the last slice of drama left in hip-hop, even as timelines explode with leaked clips and subliminal jabs, there's a much darker, quieter storm brewing. One that doesn't trend, doesn't make the blogs, but might be the most dangerous force in this entire saga. Let's talk about the real cost of fame, the kind that doesn't shine under the spotlight, but corrodes behind closed doors. Because this beef, it's no longer just a lyrical showdown, it's emotional warfare. Drake, once the golden boy of rap, the genre's smooth-talking charmer, is now a man surrounded by suspicion, swimming in isolation. The smiling face that once dominated our playlists now spits bars soaked in paranoia and betrayal. Go back and listen to What Would Pluto Do or The Heart Part 6. Those aren't just songs. They sound like diary entries from a man whose circle has shrunk, whose trust is shattered. Every line about fake friends and shifting alliances isn't a diss, it's a cry from someone spiraling, someone watching the walls close in. And then there's Kendrick. Don't let his calm demeanor fool you. He's not immune to this war either. Kendrick has always been a lyrical tactician, a poetic surgeon who slices deep but moves in silence. But this time, there's heat, obsession, maybe even vengeance. The looping chant of Not Like Us, the surgical detail in Meet the Grams, it's not just battle rap anymore, it's personal. It's a man who feels wronged, who's burning through the night trying to right something he believes has been broken for years. For someone like Kendrick, an artist who thrives in privacy, who rarely steps out unless there's purpose, this level of exposure, this constant visibility, it's not just exhausting, it's dangerous. This feud is forcing both men to operate at psychological red line. Fame doesn't just elevate, it isolates, and in that isolation, the mind begins to twist. We're watching in real time as two icons are consumed by their own creations. This isn't just about who's the better rapper. It's about who can survive the pressure, the paranoia, the sleepless nights filled with what-ifs and what-nexts. And now, let's talk about the allegations, because that's the nuclear core beneath the surface, and it's already cracking open. When Kendrick dropped Meet the Grams and Not Like Us, he didn't just diss Drake, he accused him, directly and indirectly, of some of the most serious, reputation-destroying things a rapper can face. The whispers about underage girls, the lines about sealed settlements, NDAs and disturbing associates, those aren't just lyrical jabs, they're potential career enders. And whether proven or not, they've entered public consciousness. Searches for Drake's Settlement Woman 2017 spiked over 500% after Kendrick's verses dropped. That's not coincidence, that's impact. And when people dig, they find things. Like that $350,000 payout in 2018 tied to a now silent woman. Or the rumors of NDAs signed in hotel rooms that no one's supposed to talk about. But Kendrick? He talked. And then there's that chilling post from Barry after the Not Like Us single dropped. Sometimes you have to be the bigger guy, even if you're a woman. That wasn't a bar, it was a statement, and it sent shivers through the fandom. This is no longer about just two rappers. For many fans, Kendrick's verses feel like a reckoning, like he's calling out not just Drake, but the entire industry for shielding problematic behavior in the name of fame and streams. When Kendrick sneers, the embassy's about to get raided too, you can practically hear the culture holding its breath. Is it a metaphor or a coded warning? Meanwhile, Drake's response in The Heart Part 6 felt careful, less like a counterattack and more like a PR cleanup. He belittled Kendrick's sources, claimed the info was planted. We fed you the information, he says. But here's the thing. If Kendrick's got proof, that whole defense collapses fast. And now the trust circle around Drake, it's cracking. Halle Berry publicly called him out after he used an image of her being slimed without her consent to promote his single. Rick Ross clowning him on Instagram. Metro Boomin rumored to be cutting ties. Even SZA, who sang next to him on Slime You Out, has gone radio silent. And J. Cole, after apologizing for 7-Minute Drill and scrubbing it from streaming platforms, he's vanished from this narrative entirely. Like he knows this war is radioactive and wants nothing to do with the fallout. But Drake isn't done. Oh no. The icy branding, the stoic demeanor, the whispers around the Iceman nickname, it's all pointing to something calculated. There's buzz about a secret documentary, a Drake origin story with teeth. Think surveillance footage, think behind-the-scenes receipts, think full narrative control. One insider even said he's going scorched earth on everyone. Could be damage control, could be revenge. We don't know yet. But here's what we do know. This battle has moved beyond music. Drake has been listed among possible witnesses in the ongoing XXXTentacion trial, a headline most fans barely caught, but could prove massive in how his legal image unfolds. We are now watching in real time as two of hip-hop's most powerful empires go to war, not just over lyrics, but over legacies. This isn't just competitive tension anymore. It's scorched earth. The kind that burns everything in its path, even the people who built it. The fans, caught in the crossfire. The industry, holding its breath, because the next move, it could be catastrophic. So now we're all watching, waiting at the edge of this cultural cliff. Will Kendrick finally drop the rumored exposé, the so-called black box, and bring down one of the most commercially successful artists of our generation? Or will Drake rise from the ashes of this drama, colder than ever, and shut it all down with a brutal, surgical strike? One thing's certain, this isn't music. This is a war of empires, a battle for truth, a fight for legacy, and someone, maybe both, won't make it out of this untouched. What do you think? Who walks away still standing? Drop your theories in the comments. We'll be reading every single one. And remember, in hip-hop, silence is never permanent.